Guten Abend. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, I hope you're all having a lovely day. I am having a lovely day, and I'm going to talk about the pornography and whatnot again, as just like old times. So, again, doing this in fairly poor lighting. I apologize for that. There's some kind of thing going on where it's colder all the time and the days are shorter and all that stuff, but I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, this is a different kind of approach that I've been chewing on a little bit, and it feels more intuitive in a lot of ways, and I think that's a good thing. It feels more almost like it almost feels like more natural than the normal kind of more thinking, cerebral approaches that I tend to favor with this battle. And I've been chewing on it for a little bit. This is something that I realized a couple weeks ago while I was reading my Bible. And I came to the point where Jesus goes off to the wilderness to fast for 40 days, which is a long time. I fasted for 36 hours once, but 40 days, but freaking long time. He goes to the wilderness to fast and then to be tempted by Satan. And the first thing that Satan hits him with, the first temptation, he's like, Jesus is super hungry, obviously, probably wouldn't even be alive if not for, being sustained supernaturally. But the first thing Satan tempts him with is to turn stones into bread. Now, this is kind of weird because Jesus is kind of known for miracles involving food and feeding people and things of that nature. He turned water into wine. He turned a few loaves of bread into enough to feed thousands of people and have leftovers, like ridiculous amounts of leftovers. And so we see him, in the case of water into wine, creating not even just something that sustains, but something that's luxurious, something that is really not even necessary. With feeding the 5,000, he's supernaturally creating food that did not exist before and created it to excess, where there's just, an abundance left over that isn't even needed. And so clearly there's nothing specific about the act of turning stones into bread that is sinful. There's, and that struck me. It's like, okay, that's a weird thing to tempt him with, because it's not even actually on the surface, as far as the intrinsic nature of the act, it's not even a bad thing. And I thought about it for a little bit, and the conclusion that I came to, which I'm not a theologian and I don't presume to know for sure that this is exactly what it's about, but this is what makes the most sense to me. This is not the Word of God, this is my own analysis, in short. So, anyway, what I realized is that, even if that act itself is not inherently sinful, by doing that, Jesus is stepping into that kind of frame of selfishness, or really just Satan's frame, by, giving into that temptation, even if it's not a temptation to do a bad thing. And it occurred to me that there's a lot of parallels between that and other actions that we may take. And, in a lot of cases with porn, a lot of the ways that people fail, and a lot of ways that I failed in the past, was because of making a little compromise or agreeing to do something that wasn't inherently bad. So, for example, visiting a certain website that isn't, it has pornography on it, but it's not strictly a porn website. There's other stuff on there too, okay? There's nothing specifically wrong about that act of visiting that website. I don't believe that just because a place hosts bad content means that you absolutely cannot visit that website at all. But if you're doing that from a position of being tempted to move in that direction of watching porn, then that is a problem. And I've said that before, and I've kind of approached this from a different angle in terms of, don't take the first step down that path that leads to relapsing, or, don't make those little compromises or whatever, or don't give in to curiosity, things like that. But I think a much more intuitive approach, and depending on how, your own brain works and everything, might be better for you, is to approach it from the idea of whose frame am I stepping into here? This desire that I have to do whatever, to take the step towards whatever, to do this thing that isn't even strictly necessarily sinful, actually, isn't necessarily a bad thing on its own. But let me step back here and ask, whose frame am I stepping into? Am I giving in to that wrong temptation to do something that, isn't necessarily a bad thing? And I think that that's a very good and effective way to look at it once you kind of, get the hang of what you're looking for, and once you get the hang of, actually thinking like that on a regular basis. Whose frame am I stepping into? Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a tree, but is the tree a part of God's painting within God's frame, or is it a part of Satan's painting within his frame? Does that make sense? So that is a very, very good mindset to avoid being lured into those kind of traps that we fall into so often, where one thing leads to another, one seemingly innocent decision turns into just a spiral of evil and degeneracy and all these other nasty things. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Y'all think about that. Let me know what you think about that. I love hearing what you guys think. I like thoughts. Not those kind of thoughts, but that's out of the picture at this point. But THOUGHTS, not the other kind. But that's it for now. Y'all have a lovely day. Like I said, let me know what you think. Just a reminder, I'm on Twitter. Follow on Twitter. I'm on Gab. Follow on Gab. There is a Discord group in the description, so hop on Discord if you want to chat with the bros. There's always stuff going on in there. And that's it. Y'all have a lovely day. God bless you guys. Take it easy but not too easy, and I'll talk to you later.